Welcome to Fireteam Chat, IGN's Destiny show. I am hosting once again this week, Jose Otero, back on the show. It's been 3 weeks.
We haven't met. Who are you again? I heard about you.
Here.
Yeah,
I have you. Oh, well, I've just met the man to my left. That is Fran Mirabella, the iconic legend himself.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah. No, seriously.
It's good to have you back, man.
Yeah.
We talk about you every show.
Yeah. Did you
I
really?
thought you were a ghost.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
The ghost of Fireteam Chat Pass.
Oh, okay. I was your ghost. I was with you. All right, and once again, Destin Legary, the man who's been keeping it all together, like nothing but unending respect for you, Destin. Because
thank you, sir.
Every week that I would come to you and say, "Dude, I'm really sorry, but I'm either busy or something," you'd be like, "No," but then you'd pull it off and put together a good show.
Thanks, man.
So I just want to say, deep down, yeah, thank you.
Hey guys, don't cry.
You.
You're gonna make me cry.
I'm not going to cry,
We
but
talked
I am.
about that on Unlocked.
Did you really?
Make us cry. Yeah.
Yes.
You gonna cry?
We're not going to cry, but we're going to talk about this week's Bungie update. Possibly is going to make us stop crying in the future, in the near future. How soon we don't know, but in this update, Bungie talked about a bunch of things that we have been talking about on this podcast for a long time. I think the community in general, especially those guys over at Reddit, have been talking about things like vault space. What's going on there? Apparently, Bungie, it's on their radar. We know you need more space to collect all treasures you gain from your missions, and more gear is on the way. Raid fixes for those times when Atheon and Crota just pull out a plate full of cheese.
They freestyle sometimes.
Yeah, they straight up freestyle. How you doing?
I gotta bring up a note about this. Somebody soloed Atheon. Yeah.
What?
He used the Warlock, and what he did is every time Atheon started to teleport, he'd fall off,
kill yourself,
kill
and
himself, revive, and then he's there porting, but you don't die because nobody gets ported. It's like I don't know if it's a glitch or what, but it's the first time I've ever seen somebody solo that raid boss.
That's
It's
fascinating.
really cool.
So will they
it's on
fix
Reddit
that?
right now.
Question. I don't think they'll fix that actually.
Okay.
I hope they don't. That's so cool. I was wondering if anybody would ever do
Yeah.
it.
What else is the rundown?
The next thing they mentioned on here, which I wasn't sure what to take away from this one, but
know what
audio
this
and
is.
visual. Not everyone wants to see or hear the game the same way, which is why we're looking at providing more options.
I know
what
exactly what this is. This is chat versus game volume. So like sometimes you're in party chat, but you have the game mixed in your headset, and there's no option to turn down the game volume or turn the game volume up or turn chat down or up. So you want to like adjust your mix basically, right? And there's no option.
Mix, you're saying?
Yeah, there's no option in Destiny to turn down the game audio. So sometimes you can't hear your friends because the game audio is too loud, and it's about adjusting.
You can do that in the PS4 itself, for example.
You can't adjust your game audio.
You can adjust the mix.
You can adjust your mix. You can say all audio through the headset or just chat audio, but you can't get both.
Oh yeah, you still can't turn it up. So yeah, I think that's probably part of it. I think they also usually you have a couple options like surround and other things. Headphones. So it's possible that they're adding that stuff like support for surround in your headphones.
That's what I think they're adding. I think players just want to be able to turn down the game volume.
I thought it was going to be a film noir filter, so I could put
Not
it
quite.
on.
Well,
I don't know
it
about
wouldn't
visual.
be the first time, though.
No.
Remember that, what was it, ODST? I want to say, like, the different replay modes, you could, like, put on different filters and sort of see the game in a different light.
Oh, you know what visual could be? Take off the HUD so you can take photos and stuff. That would be awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you can take photos either way on both platforms these days.
You
but
can,
regardless,
but there's a HUD on it.
Yeah, there is.
I don't think it's going to be anything that big, honestly. I do think
Just
it's more
turn
what
off
you're
the HUD.
talking
That's
about,
an easy option to toggle.
I will say, though, that because of the...
it's like
says
an
you.
Yeah.
An engineer.
Come on, Bungie, get it together.
Give Destin what he wants. I will say on the audio side, though, of what you were talking about, with that sort of the mix problem, every party I play with in Destiny uses on PS4 uses just PS4's dedicated chat as a way to talk. No one uses that I play with uses the Destiny sort of Fireteam chat, as it were.
Oh, the in-game stuff.
Yeah, the in-game
I'll
stuff.
switch
We all
to it
go
if
around
I'm
it.
having a lot of NAT issues. I'll switch to that.
Yeah.
Old NAT issues.
Oh, NAT issues.
Like so and so can't.
Never thought
NATed with you. That happens all the time.
This would be part of
2015.
gaming vocabulary.
Yeah.
2015.
Oh, my NAT issues.
It's back. All right, so PvP ammunition, next thing they mentioned, the Crucible team wants to change the way ammo crates dictate the flow of battle.
Yeah. I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
People
So,
memorizing the patterns and
It's like heavy ammo coming. All right, everybody get to your heavy ammo spots and fight for it.
Yeah.
Toss a void grenade there so nobody can stand
I think it'll be
on it.
random, right? Do you think that's what they're going to do?
I don't know.
It's got to be.
No idea.
so.
It's got to be more random.
There's specific spots where they have to spawn. Like
Sure,
they
but
put
it's
them
like
there.
it's
How
like
do you
chests
make
and
it
stuff
random?
in PvE.
I
So
think-
meaning they won't always appear in the same spot. Meaning you can't just sit around when he's like heavy ammo available, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna like hide over here all this time.
Yeah.
Because that is what happens.
That's a good impression.
Yeah, thank you. Try.
Yeah. You should do the next VO.
I would love to talk to that guy. That guy's voice is awesome.
Okay,
I don't know what
okay.
his
Hello,
actor's name
friend.
is. I don't know. Well, that's scary. I don't want me to do
Breakfast incoming.
Perfect.
All right, so then strikes. The numbers tell us that there are some missions that are successfully completed, far less than others, inspiring us to look at why people quit. Yeah. So I found this interesting only because of the existence of Nightfall and these other, like, there's a lot of content geared around strikes. So I was surprised to see outside of that, there are people who are just not finishing strikes, not regularly taking advantage of them.
People bail often. So, like, I was playing the weekly heroics, right? And I was sniping because there's a part where you go and you snipe all the guys, and they'd run down there and die. And I'm like, I'm not going to go revive you. So I just snipe, and then they just leave.
Yeah,
okay.
That's what I just did last night.
Yeah, well, like, it's not my fault you run down there like an idiot.
Well, but this is what happens when you know, we'll talk about this topic in a future podcast, I'm sure, but when you're not on the Fireteam chat, and that's when it does introduce some big issues. Like, I totally bailed. I was like, this guy's not going to, like, come down and revive us. He's the only one. It's going to take, like, 10 minutes. I could just restart this thing.
Yeah.
It does cause issues,
Yeah, no, for sure. So, wait, this is that raid where you're sort of firing down
Ishtar Sink.
Ishtar Sink. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Oh man, no, I'm laughing at that only because this becomes the communication issue specifically to me, and this debate has not happened yet.
Yeah, we'll save it, Jose.
He's a key point of mine for why I don't want match-made raids, and this is going to continue to be one of the things.
Get into it. I still played and finished the weekly.
We can talk about that today.
You and I have been going quietly and loudly, even off mic, back and forth on this for almost months now.
Yeah, I was told there's not enough time to do things in here, right? Well, I had some ideas.
On
wait
Friday.
till next week. Yeah, sure. Okay.
Okay, fair enough. So then I would be curious just for them to release what missions those are, in fact, that people aren't finishing and why.
Quick question on strikes. When's the last time you guys have played the strike that they introduced for the PS4? What's it called again?
Oh, the Undying Mind?
Yeah.
No, that's not it.
That's what you face off against. Yes.
No, is that it?
Yeah.
I can't remember. The PS4 exclusive
When's the last time you played that one?
I played it at PSX.
Right?
With
it's really
people from Bungie.
It doesn't seem to show up in the rotation.
I never played it.
I think it doesn't even show up in the rotation. I think because it's not an Xbox One strike. But anyway, I just was wondering if maybe people didn't like that either. It is like, I don't know. It seemed cool at first. Then I'm like, I don't like this. It's like just wave after wave.
I like it, but like I have no incentive to play it.
Yeah.
Like, what am I going to get? Some blue engrams?
Yeah.
That I don't really need. So no, I haven't played it yet.
It's a lot of the game, Justin. But.
Yeah, and so a lot of the update as well was talking about how sensitive it is, or how sort of sensitive a process it is to update a live game. I mean, this game is out in the wild. They mentioned that the reason heavy ammo took so long to fix was because every time they've tried to find a possible solution, it introduced more bugs, which at the end of the day is a big challenge for any team that's sort of fixing and adapting a game that's already live and in the world. So I have nothing but respect for those guys for the amount of work it must take to engineer some of this stuff. Yeah. But at the same time, looking back, I know it's easy for us to point the finger and say, well, some of this stuff from day one should have been really well thought out, and why did it end up this way?
I mean, that's the issue, right? Like, I've never had to do engineering and bug triage, like, on a game that is this complex, and, it's easy to say, like, how could they not fix this? Like, yeah, well, guess what? They have been trying to fix it. I don't know why it takes so long. In the end, it has been a very long time.
Which bug are we talking about specifically? All the bugs?
Heavy ammo, as an example. You'd think, because meaning at a glance, you're like, okay, so fix it in like 3 weeks. Like, what is taking so long? I do think also their team split up, and I wouldn't miscount or... Yeah, like, I think we look at them like all of Bungie is on Destiny. No. I think a very small team.
There's an engineering team, there's a graphics
That's right,
team,
but I also think they're very busy with Destiny too.
Well,
and also all the new content, probably past what they made. I think House of Wolves was probably pretty baked. I think they're on the stuff past that. They're fixing stuff for House of Wolves, obviously.
They're probably on QA testing right now for House.
Right, well, and they also had to take the feedback from, Dark Below and like the exotic upgrade system and other stuff, and I think they did have to go back and double back to House of Wolves.
We are less than 30 days from April, which is the earliest they could launch House of Wolves.
It's not. I'm telling you, it's going to be mid-May. That's what I think.
Yeah.
That's
why do you think mid-May?
I think they need as much time as possible to get that game where it needs to be. It's 2 or 3 weeks before E3 when they're going to make another announcement. I think they probably will make something.
That's when Comet sort of shows its face.
Yeah, I think that's when they'll be like, okay, we've made it this far. We listened to you. We did this stuff, but here's what's coming next, and it's going to be a more exciting package probably than I don't think it's just going to be like, oh, it's another expansion. I think they're going to give you a better look at what's coming. So that's why I think mid-May you can see, right, like even with this next patch 1.1.2, right, they're like in the next few weeks. I mean, do the math. Like that's April 1st. So it's like, man, like they're not going to release House of Wolves 2 weeks after that. That's my personal opinion.
Okay. I have to ask you,
have any info.
House of Wolves is coming. We know that's coming. What do you think Comet, if it exists, will be?
I think it's going to be I think it's going to have a new raid and the whole thing like you'd get with any expansion.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be a more complete game world touch-up. You know
Like
what I mean? Like they haven't done a lot
narrative
to Crucible and to the main world and the tower, and I think there will be enough small things there, or meaning things like, and there was even a leak on this stuff, right? Like more than a strike, right? It's probably a couple strikes, and I think they'll introduce like some things that you just wouldn't have expected. I mean, maybe stuff like shaders finally comes, right? More
for weapons,
more
and
like
armor,
special stuff from
no
the speaker.
Exist, yeah.
You know what I mean? I just think they'll pad out all the stuff that normally like you don't get that much of with the DLC releases as we've seen.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it's a little too early to judge. They've only done one DLC drop. So let's see how House of Wolves
especially
goes.
like all the stuff that went silent once you finish the game. Like the speaker has nothing to do for you unless you're just taking multiple.
Good job.
Yeah.
Look, he's glowy now.
Yeah,
you did it.
Yeah, so there's a lot of that in Destiny, which becomes really strange, right? Like even the gunsmith, unless you're buying like ammo synth, he does nothing.
He does nothing.
There's some really
the most
talented
useless
voice
vendors.
actors that say like 4 lines.
Tess Everest, nothing.
Yeah.
What has she ever done?
Yeah,
Ever.
Yeah,
the
right.
gunsmith, by the way, is what's his name from Gears of War, isn't it? I heard that. I didn't look
Cliff
it up. as a
Blazinski.
fact. No, Marcus.
Tascador?
I heard it was Marcus.
Come on.
I heard it was him. We'll look that up.
Okay.
I didn't come prepared. I shouldn't have blurted that out. But
That's cool. Just
That's
guess.
fair. That's fair.
anyway, yeah, I do
I
think they'll do
Nolan
more
North
more
is,
complete.
the guy. Nolan North,
Drake
right?
is in the game now.
Yeah.
No, I do think they'll do a more complete update that'll make it feel bigger, right? Like you'll get all the little things, like even just like a pack of shaders, a pack of emblems. I think you'll get more of that, which we haven't been getting too much of with the DLC.
Nathan Fillion is horribly underused
He's
in
still
this
going.
game.
All right, so
he's the hunter guy in the basement.
Oh, yes, he is.
And I'm like, that's all you say? Like, come on. Like,
Wait,
and he
who
even
is
talks
Nathan
about
Fillion?
like wishing he could
Yeah,
get out there and adventure and
Dead
stuff
Orbit
like that.
or
No,
Hunter.
he's the hunter lead guy. Like if you play as a hunter,
Yeah.
when you
Oh,
go
he's
talk
the
to
Hunter
him-
Vanguard.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's the
Oh,
hunter
he is the
Vanguard.
Vanguard.
Wow, I didn't
Yeah.
realize
Yeah.
that. That's because I'm not a hunter. I've never actually spoken to the guy.
What?
Yeah.
You have not
Hi,
played the
Nathan.
best class in
Hit
Destiny?
you up on Twitter.
That is the
I'm
best
sure he's
class in
listening.
Destiny. It is the hunter, man.
Yeah.
Except
Anyway.
for our weak jumps, we're good.
Man,
All right.
we're all
So
over the place here.
yeah, we are a
We're
little
excited.
bit.
Some changes coming.
No, definitely we are. And, they mentioned a bunch of other ways that they want to communicate with players, how they're trying to also figure out a bunch of other bugs that you should be checking this stuff out. They've created some articles and, information that they want people to kind of look at. I'm just curious then. I mean, of all this, what are you most excited to see fixed right now? Is it just the whole package?
Vault
or
space,
You want vault space?
top of the list.
Yeah.
Vault
Yeah, I mean,
space.
why don't we go through? It sounds to me like the two big topics from us in here are probably vault space and like what do we think they're actually going to fix from the raids? But I mean, starting with vault space, right?
let's
Like,
They
I think-
basically say what they're going to fix. The boss encounters are
well, before we get to
buggy.
that, why don't we stick with vault? Like,
Okay.
how do you want it to play out? I
So,
have my thoughts already.
Somebody mocked up like a really cool look at Vault Space where like you have multiple pages that you can go through and it kind of separates your weapon by weapon type.
Yes, please.
So like your primary weapons get an area, your secondary get an area, and your heavies get an area, and you just go through them with.
And armor gets areas as
Yeah,
well.
I've had-
armor gets its own areas.
We had someone send us their exotic weapons, but they had to go in and organize how they dropped it into the vault just to
Yeah.
make all the yellow like sit next to each other.
Yeah.
And that is it does either need filters or at the very least like to drop in a way that's organized.
I used,
It's very hard
to
find
organize it, and I'd put all the raid 1 group together and then raid 2 group together. But as I pick and choose what I need, it's all mixed up.
Oh,
again
you
already.
wanted to see like vault weapons as different from
Vault of Glass
Crota's
weapons and then Crota weapons, but when I pull them out and drop them back in, they just get mixed up again,
Yeah.
so it's all over the place. Yeah.
Well, I have my thoughts, but what do you?
No,
what
why
do you
don't you
feel?
go ahead?
Okay.
Why don't you
yeah,
go
I
ahead?
mean, I think I'm going to ask the world here, so it's like I don't think that this is
Old
possible.
Fran Mirabella asking for the world.
But actually, I do think the filter concept, like, there needs to be some way to organize it how I want it, because I do think if they get into like we've made this decision for you, it is still going to cause some issues. Like not everybody organizes stuff the same way.
Like right now, it's auto arranging.
Have you been to Containers and More? Like you can do a lot at the store. So, but no, if you're like OCD like me, you have certain ways of organizing stuff, and everybody's completely different. I mean, I think there's some people who are like, it's fine, I just want more space. Me, here's what I'm looking for. Yeah, organization by. For starters, you need it by weapon class, like auto rifles, scout, etc. I think that is crucial because it's like, if I'm looking for a type of gun, it's normally by weapon class. Then it would be nice if they somehow auto-sorted or whatever by the elemental damage, because I do think, right? Like, okay, where's void, whatever. I just need a void, or actually, this is a good example where I don't maybe want to look at it by weapon class. I want to look at it by elemental damage. I'm like, I just want to look at all my void stuff real fast.
So you want sorting options, like sort by name, sort by elemental damage, sort by
that would be
unlocked.
ideal. Like a quick way to, fine, even if you dumped everything in the vault and then you had the option to, a lot of, shelf type stuff like this when you're organizing stuff, it just has options, alphabetize, most recent, et cetera, like that would be really awesome. Just actually think of most recent. Like we come in here and it's like, what were your best drops this week? And I'm like, man, I can't even remember. If I could sort by most recent, I would know what I got.
Because there's so many.
So I do think do think I'm asking a lot.
I got 5 Hawk Moons.
So I do think so I do think I'm asking a lot there, but
no, but I think you make a great point though. I mean, I think that some folks do want to be able, like, the ability to at least determine what your search criteria is. Whether it be by most recent or by
raid type. Here's really interesting. I didn't even think of that.
Here's what I don't want. Just stop auto sorting it for me. Like if I take something out of spot 3, leave that spot empty so I know when I come back next time that's where my Vision of Confluence is. So every time my Vision of Confluence is in the third slot from the top. And then if I want, just say auto arrange. It's just like Windows desktop when you're organizing your icons or whatever.
That's a great way to put it. Actually,
I know it's a little silly thing, but like I would just like it. Just leave that spot empty for me because I can make that my primary weapon spot.
Right, but we're only talking about weapons too, right? And then you get into your other inventory items. So it's like where. So
basically,
I don't know if they're gonna
sorting options.
Yeah, I don't think they'll actually do that. I think that's asking a lot. At the very least, you need to sort by primary, special, and heavy. And that will solve a lot. At the very least, like if you have those shelves, I know where to find my heavy machine gun, whatever. Void, okay, I know where against all odds is. In heavy, it's not that hard to find. But when I'm sorting through all my weapons, and they're going to expand the space, they definitely... That's why I know that they're going to do something with organization. Because you think about
I think it should be a page just for weapons, a page just for armor, and a page just for all the other stuff. 3 pages, and then each page can look a little different. Like weapons are separated by the weapon type. So here's your primaries, secondaries, whatever, or heavies, and then the next page is armor, helmets, chest pieces.
I will say
arms and legs
to their credit, and maybe this is one of the reasons they haven't leaned on sorting or search criteria yet, is that of all these sort of games that I play, I feel like a lot of their iconography and their icon design is very visual. Like the second you see that tile, they know what it is.
They've even adjusted them to make them even more obvious about what they are for certain things.
Okay,
but then do you sacrifice that in order to bring sort of a search criteria? Do you have to make that stuff smaller and less visibly apparent?
I don't think you need to make it
what
smaller.
happens there?
I think you keep it the same, but honestly, when you put it all in your vault, I would argue you can't easily see. Like Icebreaker stands out, like
Vex Mental Class or something.
Galahorn, like some of the exotics stand out. Yeah, exactly. But I think once you have all that clutter, it is very hard to pick out like all of the colors.
Okay.
So I don't think they're going to make it smaller. That's why I think they need some sorting options. But you could also imagine, I like kind of how for your character when you hover over, it expands. I could see him doing something like that, right? Like what if you could hover over, it expands your heavy weapon options, and then that menu's open.
Kind of similar to what they did with your ratings now in the different factions.
Yep.
Yes. There you go.
Hover, open up, show me more.
Like imagine they just did that of like heavy, special, blah blah blah, and then maybe maybe actually it becomes duplicative in the sense that they just have a square for different sorting types. So there's your exotic, there's your voids, and then you just hover over them. You're going to make a Harry Potter joke?
Big word of the day is duplicative.
I hope that's a real word.
Big word of the day.
Well, let's push over to then the next topic. We talked about the vault space. What about, so you're saying on the raid fixes? Like that's our other big...
buggy bosses.
Yeah. No, well, I know, but...
Like where
there's a lot of stuff
are hitting
going
you
on
through the glass.
But that's my question is, what do you think... They actually mentioned some of the stuff. You see it here. They listed. Do you think that's all they're going to fix? And maybe we should just cover off on what they said they're looking at. They didn't make any promises, remember?
Yeah. So when you're saying what they're looking at, the lower portion of this list, which is, for example,
the Black Hammer perk that's broken.
Okay. For folks who don't know what that is, give them
I don't have Black Hammer still, so
there's a Black Hammer perk that says does extra damage to
it's not
5
active.
majors.
Yeah.
They just deleted it because it would cause the guns function not to work anymore, so nobody was unlocking it.
Right. Which so you can't.
But it still
unlock
shows it's not completely upgraded because they deleted it. But yeah. Anyway,
So
that's
they're
a
fixing
gun
that.
thing.
That's
But we're
minor.
talking about boss
It's like
encounters.
sort of. Sorry, Crota turning quickly with the sword. So when you down him, this happens all the time. He comes up off his knee really fast and just smashes you.
That's not what they're talking about. I think they're talking about when you have the sword and you turn.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's true. That's a different issue. I didn't mean to talk about.
Yeah.
It's not. I was thinking because he turns.
Yeah.
This is an actual character turning issue.
Yeah.
Okay, back it up. So when Crota is on his knee and gets up quickly, a lot of us know, right? It's a sword bearer. He'll just suddenly like slam you with the sword unexpectedly. It ruins the entire raid. Like that's nothing that's supposed to happen. And you could draw the same parallel with Atheon when they don't spawn enough people inside the time gate.
They teleport you, and there's only two people teleport, and you both have those barriers on you or whatever.
So like those are two examples that I know they're gonna fix because it's so annoying and it breaks the game. You spend like 45 minutes sometimes.
I play Vault every week, and it's been pretty solid.
It's been better.
Like it's been really good.
So wait, is the portal issue still not fixed? Where you come
Every
out,
once in a while, you won't teleport.
Yeah.
But
it's been a lot better.
It's
Vault
been
Hard
way
has gotten
better.
a lot better.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Crota's the one. There's a couple things. The sword
Vault
disappears.
Hard, if you all have black hammers, you can drop them in seriously one port. Like
Drop
you
who?
all hit him.
Atheon. Yeah, sure.
You hit him in his crit spot with Titan Bubble. You're doing 20,000 damage 3 times.
Yeah, I mean, a good
Infinite
team can down
bullets.
him in 2 with a pretty regular set of icebreakers or whatever at this point. But with
Okay.
Black Hammer, it must be killer.
Yeah.
Got
But
it.
yeah, like Crota's End, for example, right? You run past the sword quickly sometimes and try to pick it up.
And it's just
and
gone.
it disappears.
Yes.
That's a huge game-breaking issue.
it's a
I
problem.
know that they're going to fix that. The same with when Crota gets up off his knee very quickly.
I
know
stopped
they're
running
gonna fix that
Crota.
one.
It's just too frustrating, and I don't need anything anymore.
Well, what's
so-
frustrating about it? Like, is it
The
those
sword
issues?
dropping, people not timing stuff properly.
Well, that's team problem, but bug
Yeah.
issue. Do you have any other ones that you'd list that has to
Well,
be fixed?
bug issue wise, just like he goes down, then he stands up, then he kills you, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, I
that
told
one.
you about the time I
So they'll
saw
fix
him
that.
he lost his shield. He was taking the knee, stopped taking
Then he
the
stands
knee,
up, hits you.
That's the
chopped
one.
him.
Yeah.
Then he took the knee, and he was like, "All right, now you can do the damage." I was
I
like,
know.
"What? Are you serious right now?" This
I
is
always-
Just really
ridiculous.
weird bugs
I always
where you're
picture
invisible
Crota
and he just
laughing.
hits you, and it's like, what?
I always picture it's like a Crota prank. He's like, "Yeah, oh no, ha!" And he's like, "Surprise!" Yeah, he's totally effing with you.
Suckers!
I've seen a boomer kill us inside of the tower for that strat where you hide out right over the ogre spawn.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they
he
shoot
got
through the
shot.
top.
Yeah, he got shot through the freaking top. I could
There's-
not believe
there's
that.
little spots
We've talked
where they
about
can
these bugs before,
sometimes
but
shoot through
these
it.
things, like especially when you factor in that Crota hard mode is actually, I mean, without question, undoubtedly, this is the hardest raid right now.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, at least that part of the encounter. Everything leading up to it is mostly the same.
Yeah.
A little tougher. But once you get to that specific encounter, just the number of things that are on screen, the number of enemies, the upgraded types, the fact that like wizards spawn, like that stuff's really tough. Some people will tell me that's not entirely true because, like,
A lot
for
of people have
example-
trouble with bridge.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I had not run into
Bug
that.
issues?
No, they just can't do it. Like
Oh.
a lot of people I've played with have
You're not trying hard enough. There's a ton of videos.
They have difficulty with bridge, and then they just cheese it.
Yep.
And it's
Oh,
really
I
a
see.
bummer because I like to do that portion legitimately.
Yeah.
And
Actually, that's a
not
good
that
point.
hard to
Doing
do.
it regularly, you do need
Yeah.
a pretty good team.
Sure.
That's it. But short list for me. Here's what I'm 99% sure they're going to fix.
Okay.
The splash damage from Atheon on the sidewall when you're in the bubble, right? And you're getting splash damage, and you're like,
Yeah.
I'm in the bubble. Like,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah,
Everybody
ridiculous.
hates it. And the fact that you have to go to, like, the upper right corner of that center, floating island every time is really silly.
Yeah.
And people fall off sometimes. They push each other off. So that will be fixed. I'm very confident.
Okay.
The spawning, I think they've pretty much fixed it to your point, Destin, but I think they'll completely, for the most part, get rid of it. I mean, like with any bug.
The
right? At least-
detain shield. That's what it is.
Oh yeah, when you I don't know. I wasn't talking about that one. I was talking about when they only spawn a couple people.
Oh,
in.
when only 2 people get teleported.
Yeah, I think
that's an
but-
issue where like somebody dies and then they self-res and then they're marked.
Yeah.
And then
Exa-
it's
and then
a
it
very
doesn't bring enough
strange
people. in.
problem.
But I do think
Yeah.
they'll fix that. You're talking about the one where you get
That's a
spawned
hard
in
one
there
to
with
fix.
the detain shield.
That
It
is a really hard
Yeah,
one
because
to
the game
fix.
thinks that you're dead.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like you revived yourself. It's a.
I don't know.
You
how to
were
fix
dead
that.
and now you're alive.
You're
It's
dead.
0 or
he
1.
ports everybody,
Presto.
then you revive.
So I think
you know?
at the very least they'll fix that. Maybe they'll fix the detain shield, but otherwise, yeah, running over the sword in Crota quickly, and him getting up quickly off his knee. I think if they fix those, suddenly it's a lot smoother. And I mean, I know people who've gone from thought they could do it within 30, 40 minutes, and they're there for 3 hours because of these bugs. So.
Yeah.
they got to fix them.
I really want to get to the fan.
Fan suggested topic. Okay, so this one comes from Brian.
So this email, he was talking about how Bungie has done a lot for PvP. We have Iron Banner, we have Trials of Osiris, which is coming someday, but we haven't seen anything since Queen's Queen's Bounty?
Bounty, yeah.
Yeah, we haven't seen anything
Iron Banner.
PvE.
Right.
Oh,
no,
PvE since that. Yeah. So what PvE events would you guys like to see?
I'm going to start out real quick with just an opportunity to play around with team size. I think doubles PvE could be really cool. I think setting up certain missions where it's a two-man strike of some type, but also play around with some of the rules, right? Play around with a lot of the ideas, maybe not necessarily in the two-man strike, maybe keep them three-man, but play around with some of the stuff you're doing in the raid. We constantly complained on the, at least the few episodes I've been on of this show, where the raid and raid mechanics are some of the most amazing parts of Destiny, and the teamwork is really, really high, but there is no other place where those things live in Destiny. Strikes are very straightforward, point A to point B, kill everything. Whereas something as sort of as deep mechanically as like using shields, for example, in some of the encounters in Vault of Glass, or using sword. I mean, there's one mission or two missions right now where you use the sword, but it's not in a meaningful way, and it's just to bash things. I kind of wish that to some degree, I'll go back to my initial pitch, which is give me some form of team doubles that have some really crazy teamwork elements to them.
I saw somebody say,
I want to see that.
This is more PvP, but somebody suggested swords versus shields.
Relic, shield
versus
swords.
Relic versus swords. That'd be fun in multiplayer, but you could also have like a bunch of, knights with swords go up against a bunch of guardians with relics.
Well, maybe
that could be fun.
Maybe it could be a silly sort of offshoot in PvE because
like
maybe
mods.
each person, like one person has a sword, one person has a shield, and they have to work together as a team to get through a certain PvE encounter. Like that could be a possibility.
All right, you shield me, I'll bash.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
It seems a bit ridiculous because tuning would probably be really
you guys are asking
hard.
a lot with that.
Yeah,
It's a cool idea though.
Yeah, it's silly. It's a silly idea. I don't know if I call it a cool one.
I don't know if you heard it. You've been proud. I made the Smash Brothers reference a couple episodes
back.
Go for it. We were talking about like what could we do, and I was like, why can't you just drop like Fogoth in the middle of like a PvP match, like make it a Smash Brothers style stage where like Fogoth's all in chains and he comes loose in the middle of the match. And, take the Smash Brothers approach. I mean, this would be like a fun style match, but I do think in the vein of what you're saying, they could have a lot of fun with stuff like that. I think that's so far out. But there are a lot of cool options. I know the community would love it too.
I had one that seems like it'd be really easy for them to do. You get public events and everything all the time. Like at least like holiday themed things that happen. Like on Halloween, we got the pumpkin heads.
Yep.
Christmas they didn't do anything.
Nothing
well,
happened.
Christmas, everything was barely functional.
They were supposed to give you that gift, which you did get in early January.
Yeah, we got gifts. But I'd like to see like world events. I'd like to see like world events. What if like it snowed or something crazy? Or you fought snowmen. Like evil snowman.
Well,
just
snowman hat would have been
something
cool.
Kind of goofy. Or like you fight a giant knight with a Santa hat on. Just like little things like that. And a lot of other MMOs have done that sort of thing, where there's like Christmassy special events.
You're describing Gremlins or Gremlins 2 right now, Destin, is what you're describing.
No, but to Destin's point, even like Phantasy Star Online had some kind of like special theme. Online had some kind of special theme in the hub area.
For holidays.
Yeah.
On Easter, you fight a giant bunny.
Yeah.
No, you are right. Like that, it's a really good point. Like imagine you showed up on the tower on Christmas Eve and it was all decked out in lights. And it was a little snow in the air. That would be really cool. You're right. Like it would just be aesthetic. I mean, that's the problem though, right? Like we all sit here and say, please fix this stuff. As soon as they put freaking lights around the gunsmith, everybody's gonna throw a fit. That Atheon's still not working right. So like you.
Oh, you have time to do something nice.
Well, Destin would have been like, I can't believe they did that. They should have put a Santa hat on Atheon. Man, I'm so upset.
But Liguriaism.
Yeah, I mean, it really speaks to how much I think we love this world and how much we see. We
were really disappointed that it seems underutilized, especially in the end game part. Like the raids are the coolest part once you hit the end game, and then what else is there?
It's so crazy with Destiny. I get a lot of I read the emails that people send in, and I get a lot of people like, clearly Bungie's doing this on purpose to punish us or something.
No,
and I'm just like, what do they
one
possibly have to gain
no
from
in
like
their right mind.
Such
not having Xurcel Gjallarhorn? Like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Stop being so cynical, everybody. But, the internet's
I think it's because you spend so many hours in this game, you get a sense of ownership. You own your character. You feel like your input should be taken into account. But really, it's their game. You're allowed to play
for
it.
sure.
Well,
just
be
sitting
careful
here,
with how
though.
you phrase that, because you bought their game and paid them. So it's a little
So
like
now I tell them how to
paying
make
taxes.
games?
Like, it is, that's
And
my courthouse,
this
and it's my...
isn't just in Destiny. It's very common today where the players feel like the developers should be making the game the way they think. And Bungie is listening by making these fixes and stuff, but I see people get really angry.
Yeah, now that's a better way to put it, though, which is like it. But I think Bungie would put it this way: is it's a game for you that they're making, right? So it is a game together. But to your point, Destin, and I do agree, it's frustrating. People think that whatever they want has to be done that way. And this is a work of art, by Bungie.
And the
they
issue
have
is
their own creative input.
1,500 people want to see Vault Space done different ways.
Yeah, and also
you and I want to see Vault Space done different ways, and then they're yelling, "Nobody's listening to us."
Yeah,
they're clearly listening to you.
Exactly,
but they have to decide how to implement.
Yeah, and you don't have to deal with the implementation and the mini bugs and all the other stuff.
Yeah. Sure.
So maybe to finish off on your question, because I know we got to end this, but I'm just going to throw out very fast. I think faction bounties would add a lot really quick. Like
that'd be cool.
Like now I can maybe level up factions by having more bounties. And honestly, I have so many weapons and not enough bounties.
Yeah.
I never thought that I'd say that, but I need more bounties right now.
Yep.
So
Like,
that might be an easy way as they send you on some.
But bounties have their own problem in that there's just not enough variety among them right now. Like
Dead
there are
Orbit.
certain
That's what I'm
bounties
saying.
too.
So
We should have an episode where we actually list like here's our favorite bounties and here are the absolute worst things you have ever.
The things
asked
we don't
anyone
do
to
anymore.
Yeah, just like you see it, you go, hell no, we're not doing that bounty. Actually,
I'm not
if you're
doing,
listening or
Valis
watching this.
Auric.
You should write in. Send us your list of like what's your favorite 3 bounties and what are your least
Most
favorite 3
hated.
bounties? Most hated. You can send those emails to destiny@ign.com. Let us know which ones you sort of care about. Maybe we should give people a community bounty, like something we want them to do. But I don't know. That means we'd have to give them something. Do we have anything?
Let's come
to
up
give
with a
away?
Fireteam chat bounty.
Yeah.
Photoshop
All right, think on it.
festive things into Destiny.
That's the extra credit. So, most loved bounties, most hated bounties,
Yeah.
and what's the Fireteam chat bounty that we want to introduce into the world?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I think
Send
maybe
in
we
your
should.
suggestions.
Yeah, I think
I'm sure
that
they'll
would be
get right
fun.
on that.
Yeah.
You should. If you're watching or listening, you definitely should.
We gotta go.
No,
Yeah.
I meant Bungie will get right on that.
Oh, well, that too. Yeah,
you
no,
should,
for sure.
if you're watching Bungie. Get right on that.
So wait, did you make a suggestion for this question for the PvE? What'd you want?
Yeah,
I just wanna be
holiday themed events.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
I want them to play with team size. I did leave one thing out that I just thought about while you guys were going back and forth, and I'm going to quickly tack this on, is that play with the idea of strikes, but with different team sizes.
You said
for example, no, but I said
Yeah.
like doubles. I think you could do a 6-player strike with 3 players, with two teams coming at it from 2 different directions, or 2 different missions where certain objectives have to be done. Like reusing things they're already in place, but somehow one side's progress affects the other, or vice versa.
That could be interesting.
That sounds like a lot, I know, but I really want to see.
Sounds
more
like a Grand Theft Auto
opportunities.
heist to me.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I
Hey,
didn't
that's
think about
interesting.
that. I haven't even played those heists. Are they
They're
good?
really fun. Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about those off mic. And then your suggestion being, lastly.
For PvE,
Yeah.
I'll just keep it at that. I mean, I have so many other ideas, but it's dragging on. But I think doing
Faction
stuff with the
bounties.
factions, whatever it is, bounties, otherwise, like there's a lot of opportunity there. They've even talked about it. So I think that's an easy add that will add a lot to the game, because again, the factions are kind of just sitting there. Like I don't go and visit my dead orbit dude. I wish I did more, but I don't have a reason to.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go.
Dress in goth and go kill 5.
I can't get that dead orbit shader. I
Yeah.
can do nothing to get it. Give me an exotic bounty then and make it an exotic shader.
Well,
Anyway.
thank you for listening to Fireteam Chat. We are a weekly show still on IGN, and
A little late this week. We're gonna do another one Friday.
Yeah, we're gonna still do
Sorry
another one
about that.
Friday.
It's a weekend show.
Sorry about exactly. This is what you get. But we did make sure we got one out the door. We are accepting feedback for the podcast, so make sure you email destiny@ign.com. Let us know what you think of the show. Any suggested topics. Destin reads them all. I'm very
I'm
impressed.
60 behind,
With,
but I've
are you?
read 700. So
Yeah.
yeah,
no,
I'm doing okay.
And thank you for supporting us and sending those in. Lastly, you can find us all on the internet. You can find Fran Mirabella
At
on
Fred
Twitter.
Mirabella. I'm FM3 on PlayStation 4.
All right. You can find Destin Laguerre at
Destin Legary.
on Twitter.
Don't send me a PSN or Xbox invite, because it's just
Too much.
I have too many of them, and they don't have a good system for accepting mass invites.
Got it.
So
Okay.
I'll put callouts on Twitter though a lot, like, "Hey, I need somebody to run raids with," and then I'll add you guys. That's the easier way for me to handle it.
Got
handle the requests.
All right, guys. And lastly, you can find myself, Jose_Otero on Twitter. Thank you very much for listening once again to Fireteam Chat, and we'll be back Friday with another show. But wait,
before we end, can I make a couple shout-outs? Because there's people who went through over 1,500 names to find me on PS4.
Okay.
But just a few quick shout-outs for the community. Beast1386, Big Frankie75. He says, "Yo, Fireteam Chat and NVC list." He's a Fireteam Chat and NVC listener. Big fan. Big J-Rock25. Castillaman and CDT guy, and the list goes on. So thank you all. The community has been really awesome, and I know we should find a way to maybe do more shout-outs because you guys are awesome, and there's too many to name, but I just wanted to
shout out to Brian for sending in the question that I read.
That's right.
There.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's that, a quick
shout-out. Oh, for sure.
Section.
All right. And we'll be back next week, Guardians, so stay tuned. Or this week, Friday. I messed up.
That's all right. We don't know what day it is here.
Guardians out.
Guardians out.
There we go.